We do expect to have an on-time launch this morning at the opening of the window at 11:56 a.m. Eastern Time. And this launch will mark the 13th Space Shuttle Atlantis. Our launch window extends for 1 hour and 2 minutes, or until 12:58 p.m. Just a few moments ago, we got word that the liquid hydrogen system is now at the 98% level. Topping is in work now. That will continue until the tank is just about full, and we will remain in a stable replenish mode from that point on until we pressurize the tank for flight just minutes before launch. Do have about an hour remaining, about 45 more minutes before the tank is scheduled to be full. We're loading liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen into the large rust-colored external tank. Here we have the STS-66 flight crew members sitting at the table. The traditional cake decorated with the crew insignia for this flight. Then we have payload commander, Dr. Ellen Ochoa, flying on the shuttle for the second time today. Pilot Kurt Brown flying for the second time today on the space shuttle. Mission commander, Don McMonagle, flying for commander the first time today, but making his third trip. Joe Tanner, mission specialist, flying for the first time. Mission specialist Scott Parazinski, also flying for the first time. And European Space Agency astronaut Jean-Francois Clairvoy, making his first trip aboard the shuttle today. Crew is divided into the red and blue team. Some of the crew members have just been awake for just about half an hour. The others have been up since last evening. Summarizing our countdown activities this morning, we are on schedule for liftoff today at 11:56 a.m. Eastern Time. Live pictures of the crew getting suited up. Commander Don McMonagle making his third trip aboard the shuttle today. Pilot Kurt Brown flying for the second time on the shuttle. Commander and pilot have just completed their weather update with flight controllers in Houston. Brown's a member of the blue team. Mission specialist Jean-Francois Clairvoy from Toulouse, France, from the European Space Agency. Suit technicians assisting the crew members and getting them to their launch and entry suits. Payload commander, Dr. Ellen Ochoa, flying for the second time on the space shuttle. She flew on the second flight of the Atlas mission and will be serving as payload commander on this flight, the third flight for the Atlas mission. Crew is escorted out to the pad by the KSC security personnel. And at the 195-foot level, we've got the crew ready to get into the orbiter access, walk across the orbiter access arm to get into the crew module. Mission Specialist Jean-Francois Clairvoy is a mission specialist from the European Space Agency. He's making his first flight on this mission.
OTC, CGLS 212. OGLS. Standby SAP switched on. Clear, good morning, Bill. Houston, CDR, how do you read?
Atlantis, Don, we've got you loud and clear.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 12 minutes and counting. Dr. Ellen Ochoa now getting ready to climb into the crew module. Her previous flight was as mission specialist on STS-66 in April of 1993. Joe Tanner, who is designated the flight engineer, will be in the aft center seat on the flight deck, and Scott Parazinski will be seated on the aft right seat of the flight deck. Ellen Ochoa and Jean-Francois Clairvoy will be seated in the mid-deck for ascent. Crew is making voice checks with the test conductors here in the firing room. We're also going to make checks with the flight controllers in Houston. This is a routine activity on launch day. Make sure that we've got good communication lines between the orbiter, where the astronauts can communicate with the ground controllers both here in Florida and in Houston, Texas.
RTC aft. Aft NTD on the air to ground 1. Go ahead. Okay, for yourself, the flight crew, and OBCC, just a heads up, as part of our console reconfig, we are probably going to go back momentarily into fast fill on locks prior to getting back into stable replenish. That will probably occur here in the next 10 minutes.
Mission Specialist Joe Tanner is saying hello to his two sons, William and Matthew Tanner.
And we're ready for astrocom checks.
We'll be with you in just a second. All fire room personnel, any conversation on OIS 212 during astrocom check will be heard by the crew. Channel should remain silent except for emergency calls. A roll call, please, on air to ground 1. Flight crew.
CDR, loud and clear. PRT, loud and clear. MS1, loud and clear. MS2, loud and clear.
MS3, loud and clear.
MS4, loud and clear.
Stand by, reconfiguring for air to ground 2.
CDR, I hope you have a good flight and enjoy that new vehicle we're giving you. CDR, we thank you very much, and we sure we will.
Engineering team is ready to proceed.
Okay, I copy. We have no constraints to launch in at this time, is that correct?
That's affirmative.
Okay, copy that, thank you.
And then to DTVC.
Go.
All right, for official notification, can we get your concurrence to grant the waiver and close it?
I'm not,
NTDSP, we just processed the waiver. We're verbal PERB on channel 245, and we're all clear with the waiver.
okay, thank you.
OTC DPS.
Go DPS.
Pass off transitions complete. DPS ready for BFS transition to Ops 101.
Copy that. CDR, clear pass, fault, sun display with Spec 99 Pro, and take BFS to Ops 1.
CDR in work. Houston flight into the air to ground 1.
EPD, FCP, and ECL perform step 10-12 to adjust fuel cell loads.
EPD copy.
ATC CWS.
Go.
Yeah, step 998, ohms RCS cross feed valves configured for flight. All steps worked.
Copy.
TC.
Go.
297 is cleared, no constraints.
Thank you.
Orbiter's backup flight system computer is now in the proper configuration. Also, the main propulsion system, helium system, has been reconfigured by pilot Kurt Brown.
Atlantis, Houston, update to the KSC altimeter setting 3020.
Copy, KSC altimeter 3020.
The orbiter access arm is now being retracted away from the vehicle. It can be extended in just a few seconds if necessary. This puts the arm in the launch configuration.
And NTD, the clock will hold at T-minus 5 minutes. I copy TLS, thank you.
NTD launch director.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what work do we have remaining before,
We've got to do APU pre-start, and we've also got to activate the RPS's recorders.
Okay, well, why don't you put that in work, and maybe we can get Atlantis and this crew up in orbit today.
Okay, I copy. With that, once we get that completed, we'll have to go pick up the countdown.
Yeah, go proceed.
I copy that. OTC entity, perform APU pre-start and activate your recorders, please.
Copy that, JRPS, OTC. This is JRPS. Start recorders. Recorders running, sir. Copy, PLT, perform APU pre-start. PLT in work.
Retraction of the gaseous oxygen vent hood is now underway. Flight crew will close and lock their visors in the next few seconds.
OTC, PLT, caution warning, memory clear is complete. No unexpected messages. After that, all crew members close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow. Good go to take Atlantis back to the skies. And we'll be happy to do that. We'll see you in about 11 days.
Okay, let's go for ET LH2 pressurization.
Tank holding liquid hydrogen propellant used to feed the main engine is now being pressurized. Atlantis will be launched on a northerly trajectory on an orbit inclined 57 degrees to the equator.
1 minute 30.
Less than a minute away now from the launch of Atlantis, the 7th shuttle flight this year and the 66th space shuttle launch.
One minute.
Just past the 1 minute mark, Atlantis is now going to be operating from internal power supplies. At the T-minus 31 second mark, Atlantis' onboard computers will have control of vehicle functions. T-minus 35 seconds.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
In the next few seconds, thousands of gallons of water will be dumped on the platform to help absorb the shock of the 7 million pounds of thrust produced by the shuttle.
15.
T-minus 15 seconds. 12, 11, 10, 9,
TLS is go
8,
for main engine start.
7. We are go for main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Atlantis on a mission to study planet Earth.
Roll program, Houston.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Houston now controlling. Atlantis is underway on its 13th trip to space, rolling on course for a 57-degree inclination orbit for a highly north and south inclined orbit at an altitude of 160 nautical miles. Atlantis speed is already 350 miles an hour. 3 engines on Atlantis are now throttling back to 2/3 throttle to prepare the spacecraft to pass through the area of maximum air pressure and go supersonic. About a minute and 5 seconds since launch. Atlantis speed now 1,000 miles an hour. Altitude 7 miles, 5 miles east of the Kennedy Space Center.
Go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
Atlantis 3 main engines are now back at full throttle. All systems on the spacecraft are go. 1.5 minutes since liftoff, Atlantis has already burned more than 2.25 million pounds of propellant and weighs less than half of what it did at launch. Atlantis altitude 84,000 feet, 12 miles northeast of the Kennedy Space Center. Atlantis speed now 2,200 miles an hour. Flight controllers are standing by for burnout and separation of the twin solid rocket boosters. Booster officer confirms a good separation and jettison of the twin solid rockets. Atlantis now on its second stage. Its 3 main engines continuing to operate well at full throttle.
Atlantis performance nominal.
That call to Atlantis indicating that its performance on the solid rockets is just as planned to this point. Endeavour's 3 main engines will now continue to burn for another 6.5 minutes to reach orbital velocity.
Atlantis 2-engine Ben Guerir.
Copy, 2-engine Ben Guerir.
This Houston with you, Teed received.
Okay, we
Copy, loud and clear.
And we can now see the snare wires moving as Ochoa prepares to grapple the SPA satellite. Robot arm now moving down toward the grapple fixture. Being guided by Payload Commander Ellen Ochoa. We can see that arm on the left side of the picture as it is grappled to the shuttle pallet satellite and the Krista instrument. Also on frame is the aft flight deck windows to the upper right of the screen, and we're now zooming in on the attachment point where the arm meets the payload bay of the shuttle. These cameras being controlled by the Instrumentation and Communications Officer here in Mission Control. On this Orbit 2 shift, that's Chris Counts.
This is Space Lab Operations Huntsville. We're continuing to receive this live video downlink from the payload bay of Atlantis, now focusing in on the millimeter wave atmospheric sounder antenna. This instrument's primary objective is to look at the atmosphere and specifically looking at ozone and its chemistry. The science team commanding this instrument from the ground here in Huntsville. The antenna is kept in motion during the standby mode that it is currently in. It's kept in motion to verify the calibration of the instrument.
This is Mission Control Houston as we continue to take live downlink television pictures from the payload bay cameras of Atlantis. We're now seeing the bursts of some jets as Atlantis is continuing to maneuver into the proper position for the instruments in its payload bay to take their readings.
This is Space Lab Operations Huntsville. We're now receiving live video downlink as we have been. Now watching the canister lid of the Shuttle Solar Backscatter Ultraviolet instrument opening. With the lid of this canister open, the instrument will begin a 10-hour venting process before it begins science observations looking at the Earth's atmosphere, specifically measuring levels of ozone that are present.
Right now it's orbiting 163 nautical miles above the Earth, preparing to cross over the southern coast of Australia. It'll be tracking from southwest to northeast over the midsection of that small continent. All systems aboard Atlantis continue to function well as the red team of Don McMonagle, Elena Choi, and Joe Tanner continue to step through the activation sequence for the Atlas III mission.